Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Finite from IGC Invision Game Community, and today we're taking a look at a game called Escape from Ever After. Sounds like a Disney film, doesn't it? Shall we find out now, shall we? This is a written review by a good friend Adam, and of course converted to video form by myself. Okay. What if fairy tales weren't just stories? What if those books on your shelf were actually entire worlds of their own? And what if one day the heroes inside those worlds discovered something terrifying? Their storybooks had been taken over by a corporation from the real world. That's the bizarre setup behind Escape from Ever After, a charming RPG heavily inspired by Paper Mario. But instead of saving princesses, you're fighting corporate greed, broken fairy tale worlds, and soul-crushing office jobs. Oh, I don't like office jobs. Sitting at those desks, looking at computers, your bum going numb. You can imagine it. So today we're diving into, like I said before, a game called Escape from Ever After on the Nintendo Switch, to see if this indie RPG lives up to its storybook promise. So, story in itself. The game begins with legendary hero Flint on his way to defeat his nemesis, a powerful dragon named Tinder. But before their epic battle can even begin, both of them are arrested and thrown into prison. Why, you may ask? Because their world has been taken over by Ever After Incorporated. Oh, wicked. A corporation from the real world that has discovered the existence of storybook worlds and decided to monetize them. Heroes and adventurers are now considered obsolete. Their fairy tale economy doesn't need dragons and knights anymore. It needs office workers. So Flint is given a choice. Work for Ever After Inc. or spend the rest of his life in a dungeon. Naturally, things don't go quite according to plan. What follows is an adventure across multiple fairy tale worlds as Flint and his unlikely allies try to reclaim their stories. One of the biggest strengths of Escape from Ever After is its writing. The tone is funny, sarcastic, wonderfully weird. Imagine something like Monty Python's Flying Circus mixed with classic fairy tales and a heavy dose of corporate satire. Throughout the story, you'll encounter some truly bizarre situations. Here's some examples. The Three Little Pigs running a construction mafia. A twisted take on the Shadow over Innsmouth. And an unexpected encounter involving Sherlock Holmes and Cthulhu. Huh? Yes, it's exactly as strange as it sounds. But the humour works because the writing is clever, self-aware, and clearly made with a lot of love. You'll often keep playing simply to see what weird scenario will come next. If the visuals look familiar, that's because the game is heavily inspired by Paper Mario. Characters appear in 2D paper cutouts, moving around in a 3D environment. You'll explore areas from fixed perspective while talking to characters, completing those pesky side quests, solving some light puzzles, and doing a bit of platforming. It's a formula that's instantly recognizable, but it works incredibly well. Flint, of course, isn't alone on his adventure, as we already know. First there's Tinder, the dragon who starts the story as Flint's enemy, but ends up shrinking down to a much smaller and more helpful size. Then there's the big bad wolf, who in this world is an aspiring what? A musician, capable of manipulating the elements through song. Can you imagine a big bad wolf doing that? I can't imagine it, but hey, this one is. Each character has unique abilities and work both in and out of combat. For example, tinder can burn obstacles or explosive barrels. Flint can throw a shield like a storybook version of Captain America. And the big bad wolf can manipulate the environment using music. These abilities are also used to solve environmental puzzles while also exploring. So, as you explore the game's fairy tale worlds, you find several useful resources. Special gems allow you to purchase new attacks and abilities. You'll also discover trinkets, which provide different stat bonuses and of course passive abilities. Some trinkets can also allow things like group healing without spending points, damage bonus and defensive boosts. However, you can only equip a limited number of trinkets per character, so choosing the right combination becomes important. I'm thinking if I was going to go for Flint, I'd probably go for defensive because of his shield. Just a thought, maybe healing go to the Wolfie because he's like a musician. Personally, that's what I think. I don't know. Another upgrade system uses ink bottles, which improves your ability and attacks. And of course, money can be spent on new outfits for Flint. Because if you're going to climb the corporate ladder, you can't do it wearing sweatpants. Combat in Escape from Ever After follows a familiar turn-based RPG structure, but it adds interactive mechanics that keep you engaged. Timing is important during attacks. Press the correct button at the right moment and you'll deal extra damage. You can also reduce incoming damage by timing defensive inputs while enemies strike. Enemies often have specific stats that you need to pay attention to. For example, if a soldier is holding a spear in a defensive position, attacking recklessly might cause you to take damage instead. Boss fights can also introduce multiple phase mechanics where you need to break shields or manage your party's health carefully. The system is simple but highly enjoyable. Difficulty? One thing to note is that Escape from Ever After is not a particularly difficult RPG. Enemy health numbers remain relatively low, usually staying in double digits. And because each area only has a limited number of battles, there's no traditional grinding. The game is designed so you'll generally be at the exact level the story expects you to be. For some players, this might make the experience feel a little bit too easy, but it also keeps the pacing smooth. If there's one real downside, it's the game's pacing. The adventure takes around 20 hours to complete, which isn't huge for an RPG, but some sections involve a lot of backtracking between locations. There are also moments where revisiting earlier areas becomes necessary once new abilities are unlocked. So you get a new ability, like some games you gotta go back. It doesn't ruin the experience, but the story probably could have wrapped up a little sooner. Visually, the game is fantastic. The paper cutout art style gives everything a charming storybook aesthetic, combined with colourful environments and impressive animations. The game feels like a living fairy tale. It may not be a technical showcase for the Nintendo Switch, but the art direction carries it beautifully. So Adam's final thoughts. Let's check them out. Escape from Ever After is a charming RPG that mixes fairy tale storytelling with clever satire about corporate culture. It delivers excellent writing, memorable characters, fun turn-based combat, and a wonderfully creative world. It may be a little too easy for hardcore RPG fans, and the pacing could be a little tighter. but the humour, charm and creativity makes it an adventure that's absolutely worth experiencing. Pros and cons, everyone? Shall we go? Let's do cons first, shall we? Difficulty is very easy. Some pacing has backtracking issues. You already know that. The pros? Fantastic writing and excellent characters. It's fun and it's engaging combat system. Light puzzle solving and some platforming. And beautiful storybook visual art style. Adam scored Escape from Ever After a 9 out of 10. Do you agree with what he said in this review? Do you agree with it?